Thursday on a special 2-hour Buck Rogers, a sorcerer plots to conquer the earth. His weapon, an army of slave women. And it's up to Buck to stop him.
I've got a reputation to uphold too, you know.
Starring Gil Gerard with Jack Palance and returning to action, Buster Crabbe, Buck Rogers. Then, Chucky murders bring Quincy to the racetrack Thursday.
Who calls me from out of the pit?
Welcome to the Return of the Son of the Show. I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
And tonight,
much like a certain astronaut in the Ranger shuttle, we kind of got frozen in time with this series, but now we're defrosted and back.
That's right.
So for the Tuesday night edition of the reviews of the entire Buck Rogers television series.
Yeah, because a funny thing happened. just just kind of leafing through old episodes, I was rewatching the episode we did of the pilot episode of Buck Rogers, and I'm like, we were awfully hopeful back then.
Yes.
Way back then in the year 2024.
Yeah. Well, we thought for sure that this was going to be the one we went with. But
yeah.
Then,
we sort of got hooked on Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Which in our minds was the better of the two shows. We shall see if that holds true.
Yes, we shall see.
So
since we've already done the pilot, I'll link it at the end of this episode. So tonight we're going to cover the 2-part regular series episodes.
Yes. Planet of the Slave Girls. Bit of 1979 clickbait for you.
Yeah, very much so.
Directed by Michael Caffey. Written by people I don't know, Ann Collins, and did the teleplay. Steve Greenberg and Aubrey Solomon wrote the script. The Earth Defense Directorate faces a crisis when nearly everyone becomes sick after eating poisoned food. An attempt is made to create an antidote, but the plan is thwarted when the laboratory is sabotaged and an assassin takes aim at Dr. Hewer. Buck and Wilma then pursue leads to the planet Vistula with a V.
Not
with an F, as we kept accidentally thinking they were saying. Where the contaminated food was exported from, and there they find a world engaged in slave labor. A slave girl named Rima, hopeful Buck that will help her people, informs him about the food processing center where the food is being poisoned. Buck and Wilma then discover the poisoning is part of an elaborate plot by a fanatical religious leader and slave trader with paranormal powers named Khalil. After Wilma is captured, Buck and Major Duke Danton, Wilma's former boyfriend, attempt to rescue her from Khalil's mountain fortress. Meanwhile, Khalil plans to invade Earth with a secret strike force while their defenses are incapacitated. Whew!
That's a lot, but there was a lot in these 2 episodes.
Clearly, Glenn A. Larson, as we said while we were watching this, learned from Battlestar Galactica that I'm going to pack it with as much action as possible. This is action.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers is not going to sit there and talk into a microphone with a green or amber screen recording him. He's going to take action.
I had some problems with these episodes, but what I didn't have a problem with was the action.
Yeah.
So in the action department, nailed it.
Yeah. Our guest stars, and there's quite a few famous 70s people in here. We have the legendary Jack Palance as Khalil.
Jack Palance never turned down a paycheck, but never phoned it in, even when you were talking to him on the phone.
He was acting so hard, 7 different blood vessels popped out on his neck.
A couple popped out on my neck.
Yeah, during his speeches when he was screaming to them.
Yeah.
David Grohl, not Grohl, but David Grohl, he was on Rhoda. he was one. I think Rhoda's husband, as Major Duke Denton. That's like boy, that's a
That's
superhero name right
that
there.
that was a original
Yeah,
series
yeah,
name, if ever there was one.
yeah. Roddy McDowell as Governor Tobin Saroyan. Brienne Leary as Rima. Sheila DeWint as Major Fields, one of our villainesses. Robert Dowdle as Galen, who was the military expert.
Yes, Baron Munchausen.
Baron Munchausen looking,
who had the helmet that looked like the gremlin from the Bugs Bunny.
Yes, yeah, he sure did. Yes, he did. Yes. McDonald Carey as Dr. Mallory, who, if I believe right, isn't McDonald Carey famous for going, "Those were the days of our lives"? Wasn't he on? Oh, yes, he was. Days of Our Lives.
Look at that.
I'm sorry. I take it back. Sheila DeWint as Major Fields. She was one of the pilots that went along and took back proof of the poisoning.
Okay.
She's actually good. The actual evil one is Karen Carlson as Stella. And then Michael Mullins as Regis, the son of the governor. But it also features a special appearance by legendary Buster Crabbe, who played Buck Rogers in the original serial.
Yes.
And he was called in this Brigadier Gordon as a reference to his other famous role, Flash Gordon.
My mom had a crush on him.
And he still looked like a very chipper, I mean, he looks like he could have led a show in this episode. He didn't look too old.
We had watched this before because we were going to do this as an ongoing series, and they were going to be like flip-flopping with BSG, and then we got kind of really hung up on Battlestar Galactica, so I had forgotten that we had seen this until we sat down, and as soon as I realized Jack Palance, let's see if I can do it now.
Yes.
Is it working?
Yes.
I'm trying.
Yes.
I like the show. I think it definitely, like, to me, it looked kind of cheap. I thought the sets reminded me of, like, unlike Battlestar Galactica, which when they were always contained, because when they were on the Galactica, they were always like small quarters,
right? And
it was kind of it kind of gave you the idea that it was on a ship, you know. The living quarters and stuff on in these episodes, and maybe they get better. I don't know, but they reminded me of, like, you could definitely tell they were sets. They had two walls, floor, no ceiling. They reminded me a lot of, like, in the later half of, like, the CW's Arrowverse. You could tell it was a set. They didn't even everything just looked kind of like the spaceship that the Legends of Tomorrow had. It started out as a ship, and then as it turned into a soap opera, the interior of the ship just got bigger and bigger and bigger. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. But the plot itself is solid. Yeah, it would have been great if they would have had like a legion of Khalil would have had like a legion of followers, but the state that the Earth is in at this point, he really doesn't need it. Right. We talked about that in the pilot episode about how we've forgotten that Earth was pretty much hanging on by a thread.
Yes.
You know.
Hence why one thing I did like or caught that I never caught as a kid is just how everything seems hunky-dory, you know, as far as like who Buck is working for and working with. But notice that everything's a directorate. Food directorate, defense directorate. I mean, it is a militaristic, they had no choice after the devastation of the mutant wars and the nuclear wars to go a little bit authoritarian. So I'm the exact opposite of you. I didn't think it looked cheap at all.
Really?
No. So, I mean, I think Buck's apartment is cheesy, but it's cheesy on purpose because he decorated that way. But I thought like where Khalil's headquarters was kind of look cool.
Well, no, that's good. I'm just talking about like the living quarters and stuff like that.
Okay.
And like when they were when they were being stalked by that assassin in the BDSM outfit.
Yeah.
It just looked like a stage.
No, that's true. But I think so. For one thing, I wrote down a note that I wrote down. So there was some. I guess it varies. There was like a really good attention to detail. So when the kid lands a spaceship from the beginning, there is carbon scoring all over the laser gun. And I'm like, that's a nice detail. Somebody took some time to paint that to look like it had just been in a dogfight.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of cool. And I think the location shots worked, and Khalil's mountain fortress worked.
Yeah.
And
I like the matte paintings. A lot of people shit on matte paintings, but
no,
I think for its time, the matte paintings looks good.
God, I love the matte paintings as a kid. They didn't just recycle the Armada, what's their name? The villains from the first episode. They didn't recycle their spaceships as Khalil's spaceship. So they actually had a different configuration of spaceship. So I thought that was nice.
I mean, they did recycle the squadron is all sick, so we have to bring in these other guys.
Yes, so the plot was a bit recycled. It kind of combined take the Celestra with the episode where all the pilots become sick and the ladies become the pilots. But that's fine. But I like the fact that the plot was a little more complex than that. I mean, Khalil had a plan. He was he was manipulating the governor. He was manipulating his own people because he would sell some of them into slavery. And then he wanted to take over Earth. And I kind of like the fact that it clearly in the agricultural directorate, this planet is you're going to produce food. That's what you do. You're going to produce it for your Earth overlords. Yeah. And so I know like Gil Gerard was pushing for some social criticism, social kind of stuff in the show. And so I think, and you see that later. And I think I also like that he's a smart ass. I mean, Buck Rogers is a smart ass.
He's a cocky son of a bitch.
Yeah. And so I think his witticisms work. And I know he didn't like having to do the cheesy one-liners, but that seems like classic Buck Rogers to me. He's just he makes himself look like an idiot, but he's not.
Which he was. He did that in the pilot too.
Yes, he absolutely.
He totally fooled everybody into thinking that he didn't know what he was doing, what was going on. Yep. But he was playing princess like a fiddle.
Yes. Yeah. So I think and I like his reaction. Wilma doesn't really react too much to the whole wait, they're slaves. He goes way beyond his just helping out the directorate. He goes way beyond actually to be the hero, which is, I think, kind of cool.
Well, for somebody who didn't want to be in it in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think, I like this because it's more classic. It's action adventure, with a sci-fi twist and a message. And so I think that's kind of cool. So
it also hasn't yet borrowed from Guns of the Navarone.
No, it has not. No. And I dig the funky incidental music in this episode. That soundtrack had some funk. That when they're in the desert, him and Dick Benedict, whatever,
no, it's
Captain Dick Danger are out in the desert. That bass is slapping out.
Yeah, it was definitely of its time.
Yeah.
It's weird because we spent so much time with Battlestar Galactica that like I almost have to turn off that part of. I don't want to do a comparison contrast just yet. We'll probably do it later on. So where the funky music worked for me because it was the style of the time, and Buck Rogers was from our time.
Yeah,
that made sense. Some of the action music, like during the dogfights and stuff, was a bit much, and it was like, well, our budget is this, so we got to do something. Well, crank up the tunes, man.
Right.
So they just really went all out with this super dramatic music. When you get,
well, I kind of feel like I feel like Lenny Larson said, action, 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 and if we can't afford to make the action or to make the music seem like it's action, so yeah. I mean, it just seems to have like a different mandate or a response to Battlestar Galactica because we complained a lot in Battlestar Galactica about pacing. This has pacing.
Yeah,
this had a beginning, middle, and end, and it walked you through it, and There were little mini cliffhangers. I mean, they did a good job of, and you could tell where the commercial breaks were.
Yes.
But they did little cliffhangers almost every commercial break. So it's like they just kind of had
Yeah.
maybe like kind of figure that this was the same group of people now doing another, this is their second or third year producing a sci-fi show. So now they've got their stuff together.
Right. This DVD set, the way it plays out is we knew this was a 2-part episode.
Yes.
But it's not split up to where you got to move on to the next episode.
Correct.
It just plays as one episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But it moves so fast that it doesn't seem like it's much more than an hour past.
No.
When the dogfight was getting ready to kick off, I'm like, oh, we've actually been watching. Okay, so it didn't split in half. It's
we're
both episodes together.
Yeah.
So the action moves it along at a very brisk pace.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's got. I mean, clearly, whoever the people that were writing it, producers, watched the old serials because we had fist fights, we had space fights. We had Get Out of the Danger Room with the lava.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a classic serial. Maybe that's why it's better, because this is modeled after a serial.
Maybe.
Where Battlestar Galactica might have been a little more, 2001 meets Mormon Church.
Meets Guns of the Navarone.
Guns of the Navarone, yeah.
They also had the old Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon spaceship sound effect.
Yes,
for that like invisible wall thing.
The gate, the little gate that stopped.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. I thought it would have been fun if, like, when Buster Crab's ship took off and goes, it's trailing like black smoke.
Or he's so old that his ship would have been more designed like.
Yeah, he had the actual Buck flying through.
The other cool thing, I think I liked it as a kid too, but I really liked the Stargate special effects on this.
I didn't remember the Stargate, but I didn't remember the Stargate was a thing until we watched the pilot.
Yeah, but I love the noise of it, the look of it. I like the idea of it, and so I just thought that was cool as a thing. I mean, clearly Twiki and Theopolis are the C-3PO and R2-D2. But what's funny is not everyone can understand Twiki, which I kind of think is cool.
Yeah.
So when he talks, I guess, binary language, only Theopolis can understand him.
Right.
And so, but I mean, they even get them involved for the kids. So they fly one of the ships too. So it kind of had a little bit of still clearly a family show.
Mm-hmm.
A Friday night, Saturday night family show. So
yeah.
But this episode worked for me. I don't know. I guess I was really pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed this episode. Jack Palance. How can you not like Jack Palance as the villain?
Well, that's the thing. I remember distinctly as a kid watching this show, and now, mind you, when I was a kid, my dad hated everything that we liked.
Yes,
and would basically never let you not know he thought it was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jack Palance shows up, my dad was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe! Look, honey, look who they got! They got Jack Palance on this show. Oh my!" Because my dad's not the biggest fan of Jack Palance, but when Buster Crabbe shows up, my folks got quiet. Now my mom probably got quiet for another reason.
Correct,
but my dad was loving it.
Maybe she felt like Wilma and the slave girl in the lava pit.
I mean, maybe I'm gonna go wash my eyes out with bleach now. I really hope that it's like we don't have to wait to the 25th century for the name Wilma to come back.
Yeah. I mean, she's tough as nails in this.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's not.
She gets rescued, but at no point does she really. It's weird. As I'm watching the episode, yes, Buck rescues her, but I don't feel like she feels she needs rescuing.
Right.
She was standing there defiantly, secretly, staying alive to get Buck there. And so I'm like, I didn't feel like she was a damsel in distress.
No. I mean, it's his show.
Yeah, it is. So he has to,
But She handles her own.
Yep.
She takes out the 2 guards guarding the
absolutely,
ships
yeah.
before he could even,
Yep.
get there.
Yep.
Is my guess.
Yeah.
And I, as far as that goes, because obviously she took him out with judo.
Yeah, which he was
And,
teaching her.
yeah, in the beginning, there's 2 points in this. In the beginning, when he's kind of teaching her judo, which I think he was teaching her judo to snuggle up with her,
Probably.
and it backfires on him.
He kind of, the move that she did on him
Mm-hmm.
was sort of the pussy galore of James Bond.
Oh yeah,
Maybe he's like, if I only had some hay,
yeah.
then maybe we could, make hay.
A little softer landing.
Let me
And-
teach you about hay, Wilma.
And of course the football analogies, the stuff that are in the beginning, and then they pay off.
Yes, and I had that as one of my notes, that the fact that whole where he and Major Danton are clearly competing for Wilma, because that's her ex-boyfriend. I mean, the football scene was great, him tackling, but the fact that they pulled that off in the end, that they did the quarterback sack, was great. I just thought that's really tight writing. That's a really cool, because imagine, like, when this was televised, I'm assuming part 1 was 1 week, part 2 aired the next
that's
week.
how. Yeah.
So as a kid, by the time part 2, you're not thinking about the football scene anymore. So the fact that it ties it up as a nice bow, I like that plot. I thought it was really well written. The jokes were to a minimum for the kids, and you need that, and so, but not invasive. It was very balanced, I thought, on the whole. So yeah, Buster Crabbe was great in his little scene. I thought the Raina, the slave girl, she was compelling. She had a story. She resisted, because there was that whole thing with Khalil being a mutant who had these abilities, but they really don't. If you don't really believe in them, they can't work.
Yeah,
and so that was kind of cool.
That's always a fun power. I like that kind of stuff in stories where, like, the god feeds off of the adoration or some emotion of his followers.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me, like, and I guess he would have been in Dan Curtis's Dracula by the time this was made, because I think that came out in '74. He's almost like Dracula in this, and just kind of like, almost just like Count Dooku.
Man,
he's basically Dracula.
He just leans into this role, like, so much so there's times he's sweating.
Yeah,
it's like, I think I need to sit down.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, and that's a classic. I mean, kind of Ming the Merciless. I mean, he's kind of like a classic serial villain.
Yep.
So
we would call his performance over the top, but Jack Palance called it Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think it's weird. I'm glad we kind of saw this before, because, like, in my memory, I was poo-pooing it compared to Battlestar Galactica. So I'm glad we've taken the break.
Yeah.
Since there's a method to our madness here. Because I really enjoyed this now. This is just like, it was a sort of a breath of fresh air to watch this.
Yeah.
So now I understand that fresh air may soon stink. But
we will find out.
We'll find out. But yeah, for now, that was a really good, a strong second episode, I thought. It'll be interesting to see, like, if this follows similar story writing patterns to Battlestar Galactica or not.
Let's hope not.
No. Let's hope they learn their lesson for sure. I even like the assassin bit, even though, I mean, I'm a sucker for, like, ridiculous sci-fi weapons.
So
acid burning boomerang, flying around. I thought that was cool. The bolos, the mutant guys. With the bolos that exploded, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
I just like, is a gun too easy? This guy, no. I must use my acid boomerang.
I'm wondering was that sort of a nod to they're not as sophisticated or a gun is a more civilized. Here in this universe, the gun is the weapon of civilized people. I don't know.
No, I think we're overthinking it.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
it's cool. It looked cool.
Looking weapon.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
it gave Gil Gerard time to do this.
Yes. Although the worst assassin ever.
Oh, he's totally inept.
He stepped on every twig that actually wasn't even on the ground. His boots made twig breaking noises. So, but maybe it was a slave of Khalil's though. So maybe he was just a mind controlled, very weak.
I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah.
Someone isn't gonna like that.
Let us know what you think. Let us know if you're glad we're back to Buck Rogers, or you were happy that we had forgotten to keep doing Buck Rogers.
Like, oh, they finally
I
did it.
remember. Damn it.
Unsubscribe.
Yes.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We'll get, it's not going to be 7 months, but we'll get back to Buck Rogers. I almost said Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We'll get back to Buck Rogers. I almost did it again. So we'll get back to Buck Rogers sooner than 7 months.
Yeah, might not be every week.
Yeah.
But like we did BSG, but maybe every other week.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff we're doing here on the Return of the Son of the Show.
Correct. If you've been watching, you know.
Yeah.
And there's more to come.
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff.
We got ideas.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
And this has been the Return of the Son of the Show.
In Tuesday in the 25th century.